got a kind of a different way of thinking about things?
Well, I'm not sure if it's a different way. Maybe I shouldn't say that. All right.
Yes.
What do you want to know?
So I guess just first, your boots on the ground. You came in here. I'm pretty sure you heard all about the conditions. But what was your assessment? Your first week on the job.
Well, I've been 2 weeks on the job. I'm still assessing. I haven't had a chance to visit all the housing units yet, and I like to visit with the officers to hear what their issues and concerns are, and to assure them that we're moving as fast as we can to hire people and to improve the place.
So there's a lot of discussion now about declaring a state of emergency here at the prison, given the severe manpower shortages. As the director, what's your take on that?
Well, we have a crisis to deal with, and whether you declare emergency or not, it's the same challenges. There are some benefits to a declaration of emergency, but the governor's got the attention that we need, and that's really what we need to drive it. And because she's committed to additional recruitment and improvements, I'm not sure we need an emergency declaration.
So I know that I think in mid-November the governor said that she was trying to expedite the hiring of 40 to 60 officers. It's been a month. Where are we in that process?
The hiring is slow, and it's being fast-tracked. So this week I met with Ed Byrne from the Department of Administration and to thank them because they have been expediting hiring, and we've already had job offers for about 25, and we're interviewing some more, and we hope to hire 40 eventually, a total of 40 or thereabouts. That's just correction officers. We also have additional positions that we're trying to get, like a couple of parole officers, a couple of case workers and treatment people.
Now let's talk about how important you believe these parole officers and these case workers are, because a lot of the conversation has been on hire more corrections officers.
Well, the baseline is you need, before you do anything, you got security. Now, the whole prison correctional concept is you got to have security before you do programs. But in several years, we haven't, the funding for corrections has been shortchanged year after year after year. And so the first cut has been programs. Programs would be like treatment programs, like sexual abuse and anger management, drug abuse. Those are some of the common programs that we've had years past, and we don't do them today. And I think that helps prepare people. But in addition to that, we got caseworkers who do assessments and counseling and prep people for release. So if we can prep them better for release, and then we get more parole officers to supervise them outside of the correctional facility, I believe we'll have a better chance of reducing recidivism. And that's the end goal. If we don't address recidivism, we're just going to keep growing our population. And I don't think that's what we want.
Right. So how have you been able to look into erroneous releases or any processes that may have led to those releases, and what are you doing to address that problem?
Well, about a week and a half ago, we did a walkthrough with Magistrate Judge KUAM, and that was maybe a week and a half ago, and we looked at the trail from the time an officer brings in an arrestee, and there's a booking process that GPD does, and then we walk them into the correctional facility to do our record booking in as well. And then we talked about the courts and aliases, and so from the courts we get release orders and confinement orders. And the problem we've had is that there's a late delivery of these orders from the courts, and that's not their fault. That's just the way that day runs. By the time the judge issues the order and signs the order, and then the marshal delivers the order to us. So there's some delays, but on our end, we have to verify the identity of the inmate and make sure that there is a confinement or release order, and then execute those orders before midnight, because the order is good until midnight, because we don't want to hold them a day longer. So there are a lot of legal timetables. But I think the two prior ones, I remember the two prior ones, one was clearly our fault. I think we overwork our officers, and the supervisor saw there was a confine order, and or supervisor authorized the release. So that was our mistake. In another situation, it was a systemic mistake, and the systemic mistake is this. And I think in the legislative oversight, you heard some of the problems for the release orders. And it's really, when people get arrested, the first question from an officer is, "What's your name?" And then if they give us an alias, then we have a John Doe with an alias. And when GPD fingerprints them, that goes into the AFIS system for the FBI. And it'll quickly come back with all the aliases if we had them before. And I think the problem is the system, we're missing that from GPD to corrections. And then that's not getting to the AG, and it's not getting to courts. So in the court calendar, you may have the same defendant with different aliases. They may be seeing different judges. You follow? So we realize that collectively in this criminal justice community, we realize that. So we're coming up with ops plans, game plans to improve that. Right. And so we've actually had a good conversation with the Chief Justice a few days ago on how to move forward and better do that. And part of it is technology. We don't, for instance, have the FBI system in corrections, and then so there's some ideas we're floating around to figure out how to best do it. Part of it is, and part of the problem and solution is that GPD is moving, so the GPD booking area in Hagatna is going to be moving to Sinahanya for the new precinct, and that's going to happen very soon. And for us is, what are we going to do from our end when we receive that inmate? So some years ago, we used to have it here by Our Lady's facility, and then it was moved down to Hagatna. And at the time, it probably made sense. For the present, it probably doesn't make sense anymore because GPD is moving, and we don't want to transport the detainee twice. So we're looking. We're not sure what we're going to do, but one of them is to move that hub, that DOC hub for in processing, back up to Manila. So we're not finalized on that, but it feels like that's what's going to happen.
So what about the Agana precinct? Was there something with you wanting to use that?
Well, there were some discussions on that, but we're still assessing it. So I've got my crew, my managers, making assessments and recommendations.
So that's not set in stone then?
Not necessarily. There are pluses and minuses, and we got to look at all of those pluses and minuses before we execute.
I just got to ask, so a month ago, the environment here at the prison was we had corrections officers, putting out these anonymous letters. How far have we come from, the atmosphere and the climate here at that time to now, and what's happening under your watch?
I really don't know. I've been too busy doing other things, and the sense is that I'm hearing is better, but I really can't comment on it. I don't know.
And so when you came in, there was no indication that, the letters had raised a lot of points, I guess, about your predecessor, but you didn't see that when he came in, is what you're saying?
No, and the governor took the time to meet our employees and listened, and she has a list of things that she's promised to do, and we're executing those, but I'm also adding to that list.
What are you adding?
Well, I want, my belief is, and I think our practitioners believe that we need to better prepare our inmates for release, because most of them are going to come out, and we've failed to do that over the years. So we need to improve our internal programs to prepare them, and then I think that we need to talk with the whole criminal justice system, talk about maybe these low-risk convicts. We need to have other solutions for them. Just locking everybody up may not be the best solution, but at the same time, there are people in our community that want blood, right? When you get violated in any way, you want blood. And at the same time, we've got to look at what is the best treatment or processing for convicts. And we have to, I think it's a continuous debate because some people want to punish them more and some people want to treat them more. And so, like the United States is conflicted with all these different extreme ideas, we are also conflicted. And on this concept of punishment versus rehabilitation, if you look at those are kind of the two extremes, if you're a victim of a crime, you want punishment. And if you have family who are in here, you want rehabilitation. And I think we have to do both. We have to find the right balance. And that's what we're trying to find. I've got great experts in here, and I'm going to listen to their recommendations.
So you talk about the need to get that baseline security level going. How do you plan to address that, and then concurrently move forward with the programs that you want to institute that'll help address recidivism?
Well, that's a tough question. So, I had a good meeting with the Chief Justice, and one of the concepts is that the courts have electronic monitoring. So I think we're looking at for future arrestees and detainees. Maybe we don't need to confine them until trial. Maybe the use of electronic monitoring might be a better option. I know Magistrate Judge KUAM has indicated he'll be more proactive at use of electronic monitoring. The overall idea is electronic monitoring can be useful, but I think that our legal community hasn't really given it much thought because they're still doing stuff the way we've always done it. And the thing is, in here, we're busting at the seams. We have 700 people we got to take care of collectively between Manila and Hagatna. Our facilities are not designed for 700 people. And if you keep incarcerating more people, what do? So we really have to ask ourselves collectively, the whole community, how should we address this? It's not a corrections problem, it's a KUAM problem.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right.